what do our tools today allow us in terms of enhanced communication and clarity building and connectivity that will help us accomplish more in the face of these challenges?
Wow, that's a lot. So take us step by step through that, David. If you could, I'll just move our bus a little bit here.
Yeah, I think because we're talking about such big issues, it would be useful for us to visualize it as kind of a concept model using some abstracts.
Sure.
So DVL, if we just look at the name, digital visual literacy, involves three whole big areas of capability. So the first area of capability that we could talk about is the world of things that are digital, which is huge amount of capability. All right.
Okay.
The second one is the world of things that are visual. It's our whole ability to see and to imagine and to represent things visually, right?
All right. Mm-hmm.
And the third area of capability is what we call our traditional area of literacy, which is all about words, speaking, reading, and writing, the use of language to communicate and to think and compute. So DVL is a combination of all three of these forms of literacy at once.
Right. And you would think that DVL, by a combination, we think of this inner part of the model, which in fact, that's not entirely true.
That's correct. So we'll come back to that overlap because it's a really powerful thing to look at, as you'll see. But let's concentrate on what happens to the whole system when we combine all three of these areas of capability or all three of these forms of literacy. Let's represent that line by saying that that's the capability that's conventional, that we're used to, that's our default area of capability. When we combine these, what we see is something bigger that happens, because the combination of these three together can push us beyond that old definition of what's possible in terms of creativity and communication. That's right. And there's where you see the synergy. The whole is bigger than the parts themselves.
I'm curious about this intersection of the model that I mentioned, that it might be something that is most interesting, right? The overlap of those three areas, because we have a quite unique model to represent what's going on in the middle. And we chose a model, a visual model of a tree to represent that overlap.
Yes, and really what the tree is all about is the definition and the build out of DVL as a hybrid practice, as skills and tools and methodologies that is really something when you begin to look at the possibilities and what it's going to take to sort of train people up and enable them to develop this hybrid form of literacy.
You say develop. Well, that's a key word because, growing a tree, developing skills takes time. So tree model kind of like fits into that. Plus, there's one more reason. We are thinking about these skills having really deep roots, right? And they result in some excellent rewards. So again, tree model is something that is quite fitting this way of thinking of digital visual literacy. Shall we play this little animation to walk our viewers through DVL model?
We're not going to share with you everything in this model, but we'll comment on a few things.
Right. So there's a clarity and connection in the center because that's essential. That's what we want to achieve with this new set of possibilities.
Yeah, and what's spiraling out are the core ideas of the roots, which are really our motivations and our capabilities that enable us to accomplish more and more and more. And from the roots, comes this tree, which gives rise to a crown, which instead of apples and oranges is producing some very, very tangible benefits and rewards in terms of our productivity and our collaboration and our communication.
What we tried to do is to map out on this tree 6 different situations and use those situations to create individual episodes where we speak about the benefits of DVL in each and every of those situations. Oh, here's the first one. One-way sharing.
That's right. Or storytelling or presentation, depending on, what kind of descriptor you like.
Most probably presentation will sound most familiar, huh?
Yeah. Although some people do love the word storytelling.
So we have an episode about that. And there is another situation, brainstorming, or we call it also differently, ideation.
Yes, which is fundamentally interactive, right? And that leads to a third situation, which is problem solving, small group problem solving, or very large group problem solving, where you might actually have 100 people in an intensive strategic planning workshop of some kind.
I like this one a lot, vision sharing, because what conveys a vision better than a picture, right? Than a visual.
And the best visual pictures are visions that everybody can align around and move towards because there is that alignment and that buy-in.
That's right.
Then we have this one, independent collective idea contribution, which sometimes we represent as IC squared, because we don't like saying all those syllables.
And we'll speak more about the situation in the episode that we dedicate to discuss independent collective idea contribution, because we can express ideas and share ideas at different times using so-called persistent boards that we use independently.
Yeah, that's really a maximization of the whole digital canvas, digital realm, is that we can do things interdependently. So hopefully this little video that you just saw gives you a sense of how we have come to think about this as an entire practice that consists of the use of tools and methods and the mindset that goes in it. But I think we should go back just for a second, Bart, to looking at this whole idea of clarity and connection that's in the very center of the tree. That's our central aim.
Let's explain it quickly to our viewers, shall we, David?
Like it's the idea that connection and clarity go together and they give us a treasure, which is both our motivation and our need and our desire and the driver, right? As well as the outcome and result that leads to greater and greater accomplishment and productivity.
Right. David, would you agree that these days clarity and connection is enhanced thanks to technology?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. That goes without saying, Bart.
So what I would like to propose is for us to look at this landscape of interactive whiteboard software, because it's something that I see quite useful when bringing people together. And in fact, during this course, we'll be using Explain Everything for obvious reasons, but there are other pieces of software that you might be using already when working together with your colleagues.
And you say it's obvious, but to our listeners, they may not realize, Bart, that you're one of the co-founders of this company, Explain Everything, and that last year, your company was given kind of the equivalent of an Academy Award of apps by Apple because your contribution to this landscape was so outstanding.
Well, I have it right here. If you'd like to see this, that's the award that we, as a team, got from Apple. It's beautiful. It's quite heavy. But yeah, but that's just the realm of the digital. What I'd like about your contribution to the course, David, is that you're bringing to the table this set of experiences and skills from this other realm, from the realm of the visual, you facilitated so many meetings with those important companies that I'm going to represent right now by using their logos.
Oh, thanks for putting my book on here, Bart.
Yep, it's right here.
Well, and I think the most important thing is not so much what I've done, but that over the course of the years that I've done this work, what I've seen is that the most advanced, most concentrated, most productive time that you can spend with people is not just enhanced by visuals and visualization, but it's facilitated enormously by it. You know, if we just look at that old adage that says a picture is worth 1,000 words, doesn't this really suggest to people that pictures aren't optional? You know, they're not superfluous. They're essential to our understanding. I mean, this is the capability that we were all born with, was to see and to make sense of patterns that we see. We had to learn language. We didn't have to learn to see.
Yeah.
And that's the principle here, is that our visual thinking is so valuable, we never want to leave it out. We always want to include it.
And in our last segment of this introduction, we'll explore basic steps toward proficiency in using these new capabilities.